Hey cats, what's happening? I just finished mowing part of my yard. I do it in 3 sections usually. So I do around the house and this backyard first. The other section is everything down the driveway. And the other section is everything back here around the pond. Those areas, the back around the pond's a little more challenging. And down the driveway is a little more challenging. Those are just places where there's some hills, it's steeper. You got to do it when it's dry. You don't want to do it when it's wet. And especially down the driveway, there's a good chance you can get stuck. Anyways, in mowing the lawn, I have continued to mow around this big stump. This stump's been here for many years. It was a large white ash tree, and it towered every bit as big as that pine over there. But it died from the emerald ash borer, and it was used for firewood to heat my home. But I'm getting tired of mowing around this stump, and it is rotting. I mean, the some of the ends there are starting to rot. So it may not take much, but I'm gonna try a method that I've tried before to burn this thing out, and it seemed to work pretty good on the other stumps that I did. So I'm gonna try it today and see what happens. Stumps can be a real pain in the neck. If you got a machine, sometimes it's a struggle for the machine to get them out. Way back in the day, when I worked at the park system, they made us chop them out with an axe. Huge job. And then you can always try to cut them with the chainsaw, but then you have the risk of getting your chain completely dull in the dirt. And it's the worst thing you can do to a chainsaw. So I'm going to use my steel farm boss, and I'm going to make some cuts that allow the oxygen to get into the middle there and to burn the thing easier. The other option would be you'd have to dig a hole pretty much underneath the whole stump to get your fire underneath it, and that's really hard to do. Not so easy to do. So let's try this and see what happens. Well, now that I got those air vents cut in there, the next thing is going to be to try to get it to burn. And I think I'm going to try using my torch and just feed some fire into it until I get it going. It really helps on this if you get a little bit of a breeze, when wind can blow through it and come up through it. The fire will go in here, and it should come right out the top like a chimney. So let's try that and see what happens. That's all we can do. Doesn't work, it doesn't work. I probably got to leave this torch on here for a little while till I get the wood actually burning, or at least get a coal going in there that'll feed it. But see, I already see smoke coming out from the top and the side over here. Oh, and using my torch, I was able to get a nice little fire going there, which will burn, but you know, any good fire likes to have some oxygen. So for that, we're going to try the leaf blower and feed some oxygen to that fire and see what happens. Now that ought to burn. That ought to burn for a while. I got blew at some chunks over here that are starting to burn the grass even. So it's already, in just a minute or of about 5 minutes, it's already eaten that big hole in there. So it's burning. If we had a bit of a breeze, that would help it immensely. Unfortunately, we don't have a breeze, so hopefully it'll just keep burning without a breeze. But time will tell. We'll have to come back later and see what happens. Well, I come back about 20 minutes later, and something's burning in there. I mean, I got a little bit of a breeze, so it pushes some air into that hole, and it's exhausting out through the top. So, you know, I'm not going to stand here all day, but I'll come back later and see what the progress is. Well, we've been burning this stump for a couple hours now. Let's see where we're at. My. It's already eaten through this side, coming out this leg, burning down that leg, and the whole middle's gone. And it looks like it's going to eat up this thing pretty well. Well, we'll check it later on and see what happens. It might burn the whole thing out of there. It'll leave me little work at all. Good morning, cats. Day 2 of the stump burning. So I'm interested to head out there and see just how much of that burned overnight. Put my yard shoes on here. All right. I think I had pretty good luck with this one. I've burned them in the past, and they get to a certain point and then they just kind of quit burning. And there's still some left there to deal with. So let's see what this one looks like. Well, here we are. Most of it's gone, and it's still burning. Yeah, it's still burning. I think I'm going to get my leaf blower out and get some of those ashes out of there, and maybe it'll continue to burn a little bit more of it. So that's great. I mean, it's almost to the point where I could, you know, mow over this part, put a little bit of dirt in there once I'm done, but yeah. You know, I could even take the axe to it or the chainsaw and probably knock the rest of that down pretty easily. Speaking of smoke or smoldering, this is the first day that I've actually had a whole day to tend to my electric smoker. So I've got it cooking this morning. Let's open it up and see what's in there. Oh, I got a rack of ribs and I got a face full of smoke. So, I've still got about an hour and a half, and then I go to step 2. It's a 3-2-1 process. So the first step, you put the rub on, and you let them smoke for 3 hours. So step 2, I'll pull them out of there, and I will put some brown sugar, butter, and honey on them and wrap them in foil and then put them back in for 2 hours. And then after 2 hours, you take them out of the foil, you put them back on the rack with your choice of barbecue sauce, you know, Sweet Baby Ray's or whatever you want to baste them with, and you do it 1 more hour. So 3 hours smoked, 2 hours in the foil, 1 hour with the barbecue sauce. 3-2-1. It's a pretty simple method. This keeps showing you the how much time is left, 1 hour and 17 minutes on the first step. It's at 215 degrees, which I have it set at 225. So the temperature kind of goes up and down. The red light means that the heating element's on and that it's heating back up again. Probably because I opened the door and let all the heat out. So I'm excited to see how these are going to turn out. If not, it'll be a learning curve. I'll try something different. But it should come out pretty good. It should be pretty tasty. Well, my timer just went off. 6 hours these ribs have been on the smoker now. So now is the test. We're going to take them out of there and see what happens. And if I'm successful, this may become a regular thing. Now keep your head back because you'll get a burst of heat out of that thing. And you don't want to get a face full. There we go. Don't want to flop them on the floor. Come on, Mark. Well, there they are. I guess the next step will be to cut into them and see what happens. Okay, there you go. Smoked ribs. Those are pretty thick for baby backs, but they look like they're pretty well done. I don't see the smoke ring on there like I expected, but you know what? I may just have to experiment with the smoker. Well, I didn't want to be rude and eat in front of you, but the ribs were okay. And I say that because I had bought a whole rack of ribs from Walmart, and I cut them in half. And about a month ago, I cooked the first half. I didn't have the smoker, though. So I just did it my regular way, and they came out horrible. They were just very gristly and fat, you know, like way more fat than regular baby back ribs whatever you could ever imagine. So I had this other half in the freezer, and I thawed it out, and that's what I smoked today. And I thought the smoker would kind of render the fat and make them tender and fall off the bone, but that wasn't the case. They were gristly, chewy, and like 90% fat. But on that whole half rack, I was able to get enough decent meat off of there that tasted really good. It had the smoky flavor, and it was all right dinner. You know, hey, it kept me from overeating, right? Well, thanks for watching. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and join me for more of the fun. Till next time, cats, I'll catch y'all later.